Hi, welcome to the video. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere, appreciate it. Today we've got a different style of coverage. We're looking at the latest news in the background regarding the YouTube streets and further afar. We do have material screenshots to get through to get a better understanding of what is going on with the likes of Salty3Pancak3s, as you'll see by the title of this video, as well as Bob Farrell's recent live stream, which was a bit chaotic and showed glimpses of the past with the likes of the Shack Lady. Okay, and we're showing my thoughts and opinions on some of these matters and see if we can get to a bit of a head at the end of this video. As we do go along, feel free to chat in the live chat box, share your thoughts, opinions, reactions, and that's what we do. We don't need to check back at the previous comments because this doesn't link to those cases, but we can catch back up on them down the line. What I do want to say as a heads up, there is a Dylan Rounds video coming soon or so. It will be a map analysis, a bit more deeper than usual as for all the different markers, okay? It's kind of bordering onto the Lucen map analysis and the Montello one, what I did in the past with all those different markers. So be sure to be on the lookout for that whenever it comes, okay? But right now we're focusing on a different topic, subject of what's been going on, okay? What order should we do it in? I think we'll start off with Bob Farrell first, because that happened in recent time. We can check one of his posts out on his channel page because he was clarifying stuff. So we just see what's mentioned there. And I can give you my thoughts on the matter. And also what I do want to say now, and I'll probably repeat it later on in this video, when it comes to the Salty3Pancak3s situation and what's gone on there, the charges put on him and people who've pressed it, it's getting a basic understanding of the matter. Of course, Pancakes most likely will explain it in depth himself elsewhere on a different platform. It's just at this moment in time, that doesn't seem to be present. Take in mind time zone difference and when this was recorded, okay? And as well, the importance is just getting that understanding, because in recent time, I've kind of been talking about how, with the GoFundMe in the background, with Pancakes, with the drone being obtained and moving forwards and the projections ahead, but yet a bit of a silence in the atmosphere in recent time. What's gone on? Well, I guess it can link together, and that's how understandings can be formed, okay? Will it lead to resistance overall this video? It might do. It might lead to resistance. It's not really needed nor necessary, but it is what it is, okay? But I will reiterate some of these points later on, just in case people join late and they don't rewind back and they act out without thinking, okay, all that. So what we're going to do right now is go into Bob Farrell's channel and check out the recent chaos and conflict there, okay? So here we are on Bob Farrell's channel. If you want for better context or just to check out his other videos, feel free to visit his channel later or whenever. We'll just scroll down here one day ago. We'll just read this now. Bob says, "I want to say I'm sorry for what happened tonight on my show. It shouldn't have happened like that. It will never happen again. Jim Terry and Mr. X are welcome anytime, but when they do come up, it'll only be them and me. I'm going to limit the number of people on the panel. I lost control big time, and the only way to get control back is to end it like I did. I have never did that to anyone's panel I was on. There are so many people out there who hate each other so much. Someone is going to get hurt big time. Someone is going to get shot. Everyone is welcome on my channel. I don't care what people did. Steal domestic drugs. That was uncalled for tonight big time. Again, to all of the folks in chat, I am sorry you all had to go through that. Also, see you all in a few days, most likely Thursday night, 9 p.m. Thank you all again for the super chat stickers. Okay. So yeah, Bob Farrell, I guess, has been approved by YouTube in recent time. But just a random little observation. In people's mindsets, when people get their YouTube channels growing and the numbers go, and then they reach the milestones and the targets to unlock this and unlock that. Is that the only thing going through people's mindsets? Or is it, let's build a place where discussions can form, where this can happen and that can happen, and then in the background, so does the other following stuff. Maybe people's aims and goals are very different to one another, or at least compared to me, okay? But let's just check the comments out and see what's mentioned here. Star Jasmine. So I believe this is the Star Jasmine. I might have got mixed up with another person called Star or Jasmine. I believe it's this one that had a bit of a whingy, whiny moment with me way back in the beginning at the start when I covered Salty Pancakes for the first time ever, looking at the comment section, and they jumped on in a 3-4-on-1 situation. I remember that. Saying, hi Bob, we need more shows with Jim and Mr. X joining you on your panel. That means keeping some people off panel during that time so we can enjoy the show. Thanks. So basically, I assume that what Star Jasmine is referring to as some people off panel would be Watcher of Crazy, just based off like how people have their outlooks on Watcher of Crazy. Before we continue any further, all I want to add in from my own individual independent experience when it comes to Watcher of Crazy on my channel and only my channel, she doesn't cause really any disruptance, doesn't really cause any trouble, is on good behaviour, may act a little bit dodgy at times, but you know, the videos are dodgy themselves, so you can't blame her for that. But yeah, as of my experience and my experience only, when Watcher Crazy is present in my chat, she's a good person, okay? Remember, take in mind the language I used based off my experience. It might not apply to everybody else, but I'm just adding it in to maintain a level of balance so it's not too one-sided, okay? Let's see what else. Julie La Rosa saying, Bob, I love and support you 100%, but this drama needs to stop and get back to the fun it was. Take control of your channel as it's yours. Sending Toronto, Canada. Now, this is the thing. It might be Bob's channel, but was it all down to Bob, like where he is right now? Or did he receive help from others, like maybe Mr. X, Jim Tay? Because if that's the case, as we've seen in patterns and experiences in the past, when someone is boosted or given a leg up and helped, then they become owned by that person that helped them in the first place. And if there's maybe a sign of disagreement or conflict down the line, that person that helped one in the first place ends up pulling away, leaving that channel stranded, and then it backfires and can go downhill over time. Kind of like with Johnny Yarborough's channel, how there can be a bit of a backlash, that you get into that situation where your channel's grown, which is good, doing well, but if you're helped by people in the past, you got to try and keep them on good terms and in favour of you, because if not, it can get messy down the line. So Bob Farrell has created his channel, or had his channel for a while, and then started uploading videos, and then a bit of assistance here, a bit of assistance there. So, there's a bit of power dynamics, present, okay? What else do we have? Rainbow Melon, thank you, Bob. Pretty much well said. And besides, I was the last one in chat. Got Twin Mama. Hang in there, Bob. You did the right thing tonight. Actually, the only thing you could do. It'll get better. Just don't let it stroke you out. That sounds a bit of dodgy wording, that. Sometimes you just gotta laugh it off. Button Bean and me saying, love you, Bob. You be you, it's your show, good sir. So Butterbean has 2 cats in a profile picture. Interesting. Someone called Cheryl Locke. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds in terms of who is on panel and who is not. Reminds me of musical chairs, lol. I do wish you success. I believe Miss T is the grand champion of musical chairs, though she seems to crush them all when she pounces on them. Anyway, smile now, cry later, or whip now, jump later, saying, I love watching your show and I would pay the $5 or more a month if you do decide to do memberships. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, so I guess if you look at patterns and trends with previous channels had may have been set up or boosted or assisted, it leads to super chats, super thanks, memberships, PayPal, Amazon wishlist, and then what? GoFundMe. That seems to be like the default starter pack for all these different YouTubers. I mean, you can argue they've got their heads and mindsets locked on in the right direction. Maybe, yeah. But I don't know, maybe it's different compared to me, okay? Because I've had different experiences. Everything's been very raw, very drawn out, but natural and organic in terms of growth, in terms of people coming and going, staying, leaving, whatever, okay? I think it might differ from other experiences, so it's different to understand. Anyway, what else do we have? Have a great week. Bob, it will get better, but I do want to say Jim Terry is the only one that apologised at the end. Exactly. Right. Mrs. Jones says, do not let people derail your show. I see that why am I blocked tactic in so many other shows. It derails your show. It's just not worth it. I know you want everyone to coexist. It just never works out in the end. Now, this comment by Mrs. Jones is a very interesting one because it actually copies over to what I've seen in my chat in recent time. Who are the culprits? Who are the degens? Maybe it's more of a light-hearted tone in my chat, but just at least the people that I've been talking about, who's blocking who, am I blocked or you blocked? It was org. Kept going on about it. And at one point he kind of spammed a few messages, got a bit carried away. But then again, if it's Shrek, the Orgy Ogre, maybe with the big hands, Shrek hands, probably pressed too many keys on the keyboard, that's understandable. But you had org. You had Dale C, maybe Guidance as well, and possibly another individual kept saying, why am I blocked? Are you blocked? Who's blocked? What I saw in the chat, okay? And then referring to Badger or Badger Life, saying, oh, unblock me, Badger. Badger, block me. Bit all over the place. The reality is, and I'll explain it right here, right now, okay? When it comes to on my channel, in the chat when I do my live premieres, many people could block one another, right? Some may know, others may not. But that's what happens. Do I block these people? No. It's just the people within the chat, and for good reason, okay? As I've said over time, that if there is levels of resistance, conflict, friction, tension, which is causing a bit of uneasiness, distractions, you want to be able to watch, enjoy the video, and/or talk and chat with some selected individuals that you get on well with, then you just block out all the other noise and darkness. If you don't like someone or you don't get on well with them or they're causing you trouble, just block them. You block them so it doesn't impact anyone else who may want to talk to that blocked individual. They can still do that, but you don't have to see it yourself. You can be selective as to who you want to talk with and ignore and block, okay? Now, in my position, if I was to block a person, then absolutely no one would be able to see them in the chat, okay? Obviously, that's not the case. So it's just some viewers in between blocking one another, and I think that's what works. It's successful, it's efficient, it allows people to still stick around, watch the video, and still talk with people they get on well with, and it reduces that darkness in the background. So hopefully people watching right now, you understand the concept, okay? And also the addition to why there's no mods either, because that can have a knock-on negative effect too. But we can explain more about that another time. But yeah, the why am I blocked tactic. So Mrs. Jones is saying that it's a tactic. So is it a tactic in my chat, possibly? Or more lightheartedness? If anyone has an idea, feel free to share your thoughts, okay? What else do we have? Devon Short. Bob, I enjoy your show without the haters. Usually I listen now. I'm getting brave to come on chat. Okay. I don't bite. That's good to know. But there are some vampires out there. Pencil. I think Pencil is the Australian. Right on voice. Calm me down, mate. Bob Farrell. Calm me down, mate. Watch your crazy, please. Calm your tone down. That's the thing. I can't do a female Australian accent, but I can do a female Valley Girl American. But maybe with time it'll work out. Saying, Bob, you did your best with what you had. Good job for shutting it down. Crazy Town, Kathy. Oh, wow, we got another Kathy. Kathy Axel. So we've had Kathy Waters, we've had Catherine S, and now we've got Kathy Axel. A lot of Kathys. Thank you, Bob. I'm so sorry that crazy watcher lady was disrespectful to you, Bob. Also, who cares who has offspring and what they do with it? Make it sound like an object. What they do with it. If they have offspring, it. Is offspring an it? Don't worry, we're not going to turn into a Karen where you say, oh my God, are you assuming that that is an object when it's actually a person? Oh my God. No, we're not going down that route. But it's just the way it was worded. And who is with who? It's none of our damn business. And they've got some cat emojis too. And Kathy also has a cat in a profile picture, okay? Is it interesting? We are starting to see a trend and a pattern of all these people with cat profile pictures. I think it might be catching on, if you know what I mean, with the catnip. It is Rainbow Melon. Have I seen Rainbow Melon before? I don't know. It probably someone talking about melons in the past. Yes, it's all okay. Who cares? 50 across the continental US, and I would still be loyal. They could all look like, okay. What's this? Mr. Latin guy saying Jim is just as guilty as Watcher Crazy at being disrespectful. Am I right or wrong? Kathy, yes. Cat instead of me. Actually, she was directly rude to Bob every time. Bob has awesome people on. She acts like something in Axel's litter box. So basically, Kathy is comparing Watcher of Crazy to a sheet in the litter box and saying, as for Jim, hey, you know what you're getting when you plan to attack. He goes for the jugular. Okay. Yeah, if you are a mischievous hellcat who gets into mommy's homegrown catnip, and raises hell in the morning, he checks on you after major surgery when you find out you're a boy and remember your first birthday. Axel loves Daddy Jim. So it seems like Kathy looks up to Jim Terry as Daddy. Okay. And there's some catnip too. Is it the best quality catnip? Probably. You probably have to pay pay-per-view for the catnip. Fair enough. Okay, so whatever's going on there. Meow. Who cares who was kittens or aunties and uncles all over? I'm Axel and I got... Okay. Okay, so very weird, whatever that is, but it is what it is. Bob, I can't go to sleep without asking you to stop the disrespectful comments made about our disabled friend Tron. It is unacceptable. Right, so whatever that is, it looks like other people have been caught up in a crossfire collateral damage once again. Louise Haraway, they've been missing in action for quite some time, but they've transitioned elsewhere. That's interesting. Saying, it gave me headache, everybody shouting and talking over everybody. Well, this is the reality. Okay, and I'm sure Louise Haraway is very aware of it. When you do get a range of different channels out there, either talking about the Dylan Rounds case or just, for once, talking about other stuff, there always seems to be chaos and disruption. Though here, there's a level of control. It's under control. And it might seem ironic me saying this now when later on in this video, it could be a complete disaster, Chernobyl-like levels of radioactivity, but it's to be expected, and a short burst, okay? So already got it under control, okay? Adele. So Adele has popped into my live premieres at times. I don't think they've caused really any disruption, so that's good of them. What's this? Meow, Bob. I want to say, I think the only one-year-old cats who subscribe to you, thank you for my favourite people Whenever I hear Jim and Mr. X, I come running to the speaker. They are like catnip for your ears. Plus, they remembered my birthday. Sorry, people were rude to you and to them. Post, I'm going to get caught on mummy's phone. I already broke a monitor. Okay, so maybe this person dresses up as a furry, attends those furry conventions, maybe. Do you like when you get these like little conventions? Has Jim Terry appeared at Comic Con? I don't know. I know that'll probably be Robbie. Or is that Twitch Con? There's a lot of cons, isn't there? Why is it called Con? Twitch Con? Comic Con? Is it because there's a lot of scamming at those events? You know, you go there with your magazines or your costume and then it gets stolen off you. I don't know. Oh, convention. That's what it stands short for. I actually thought it was to do with you getting conned. Oh well, here's what it is. Cluckers. There we go. You laid any eggs? Same. Sorry, I couldn't stay for your live. You made the right decision to shut your live down. People yelling all over each other. Missed it. As well, I thought the people of Nevada were crazy. Well, do you know what? Don't know if it quite applies, but some people within the Kenny Veach M Cave mystery case to do with Nevada, Las Vegas have said that. Bit of a crazy place. But yeah, what do you say? After watching this, or hearing the things people were saying in chat about Jim Terry and Mr. X, I don't think I'll be watching their show any longer. Way too much drama and bickering for my old age. I'm too old to hear grown folks act like my kids when they were 5 fighting over new toys. Bob, if your channel is just going to be about others and their drama, I think I'll unsubscribe. Cool YouTube username. I mean, it's more of a default one. Oh, another one. Hello, Bob. I'm sorry if my chats caused you any stress tonight. It was not something that was intended. There were a few things that happened and should be acknowledged for the record, though. Mark Terry provoked, troubled when he suggested and invited Johnny to meet him and fight in 30 minutes at Rouse. And Jim Terry once again lost control on Watch Your Crazy, and you had to make the same decision. I demanded that Johnny make when Jim Terry attacked Ruben Sanchez. Ruben Sanchez. I think I called him Ruben. Wait, what did I call him last time in my previous video? Because I don't really know who Ruben Sanchez is. I've seen the profile picture. I thought it was Alex Jones. I must have got mixed up. I think I called him Fidel Castro, but he's Ruben Sanchez. Okay, now I think I get it now. See, this is what I mean. There's too many characters and too many names on YouTube that you end up getting mixed up with who is who. The same that Sanchez on Johnny's channel. The only difference here is you won't have to suffer the repercussions of kicking Jim only. You did what you had to do, you did it right, and no apology is necessary to me. And it's nice to hear from Smile Now Cry Later that Jim apologised for giving out headaches tonight. If he really means it, hopefully he will stop the bad behaviour, and that goes for you too, Watch Your Crazy. Peace and love to everyone that can handle it. Okay, now in the chat right now, Watch Your Crazy, if you are present, not like a dog leash situation, but if you want to respond or share your thoughts, you can do, because I'm aware that when it comes to my videos, you don't really cause or drag much trouble into here. So if you want to talk about it now or share your thoughts, reactions, you can do if you want. If not, that's fine. What else do we have? Princess saying tonight was an absolute madhouse, but you did a fantastic job by shutting it down. It'd have kept on going and going. See you next time. As my grandmother would say, it was like arranging the deck chairs at the Titanic. Well, Pencil, you could be arranging the deck chairs at the Titanic, but I think that's the least of the worries when you've got the submarine down there as well. All this stuff going on, it's kind of rough, right? Anyway, we've read it. We've looked at the comments. Now it's time to give my take and analysis on the situation. So depending what situation you're in, emotions can vary. If you're on the outside looking in and you just catch the stream at the time or catching up on it afterwards of what happened, you see it as chaotic. You might find it a bit funny, entertaining, right? All kinds of chaos going on. You're not involved. You're not impacted. So you can just sit back and listen and watch if you wish to. I guess just like human nature, kind of like out in public where randomly you might see a bit of a brawl or a fight and you might kind of gather and think, ooh, what's all this about? Ooh, this is kind of fun. Only when it doesn't involve you. When you are involved, when you are dragged in, then it's like, ooh, I don't like it anymore. I want this to stop. That's just how it goes, right? But the way I see it, okay, just in terms of how things went, okay, you had different sides, different people coming on, some that like Jim Tay, others that may not, okay, and because they're all in the same room as one, where it just be in the chat or the actual live panel, there's going to be tension and friction, okay? Seen it on small scales on my channel, where all these different characters and names, different personalities, when they're all in the same room together, that's where there's a bit of a clash, a bit of trouble, disruptance, and it can go downhill from there. That's basically what happened with Bob Farrell's video live stream at the time. Will it happen again? Quite possibly, down the line. Not with the same individuals, but maybe others. You never know. But personally, am I truly surprised by it? Do I find it shocking as other people do? No. The bit about saying how Bob did a good job at shutting down the whole trouble and chaos, it's pretty easy to do. You just hit stop the live stream, stop the recording. It's pretty simple to do. I think if you're in a position where you can kick people off the panel or mute them yourself, I think that is possible as well. Okay, so Bob did have that at his disposal if he wanted to use it, or maybe he didn't know how to, but could use it down the line, right? But the reason, linking back to why I'm not surprised, okay, it just boils down to it was inevitable. It was going to happen someday with someone, okay? And people might be thinking, how would I know? And maybe Bob is scratching his head too. Well, I can just briefly explain it. Basically, what happened on Bob Farrell's channel in recent time is the equivalent of the Shack Lady in 2022 when she invited Salty Pancakes onto the panel and Jim Terry as well. And so came the different audiences together. Shack Lady was in a bit of a situation where she had to pick a certain side and she didn't. She was on the fence. So you had Jim Terry arguing with Shack Lady, Salty Pancakes, calling out Shack Lady, and then Jim Tay going at Pancakes and Pancakes going at Jim Tay. It was a triangular effect. It was all over the place. It was disruptive. There's a lot of bad words, bad language used to some people, some inappropriate things said, etc., to the point where I think the Shack Lady took down the live stream, deleted it, or privatized it and maybe edited it out later and only played the other portion of it where there wasn't the drama and conflict. I believe that the live stream did continue on, that one did, but things had to be edited out afterwards. It got a bit hectic, bit draining for some people. I think it might be well known to others. Some people probably have clipped it over time, like clips of Pancakes saying some questionable things and maybe a portion of Jim Terry as well. But it was just a mess. It was a disaster, okay, at the time. Was it resolved down the line? Depends how you look at it. But basically, what happened back then in 2022 is kind of like what happened, you know, yesterday or the day before, whenever it was. The idea of tension, conflict, resistance, friction between different people because they don't really get on well and there's maybe misunderstandings and other bad stuff going on in the background, okay? So it's just happened. Now, in Bob Farrell's situation, what do you do from now on? You know, how do you resolve it? Well, the most simplest form, the most practical form, but is also the most impractical, I guess, in one situation, okay, because Bob does live streams, okay, with StreamYards, Streamlabs, whichever one it's called, and as call-ins and panels like that. You know, you can't revert to a live video premiere because then that just like makes it completely pointless for like how he goes about stuff. So that rules that avenue out. But is there any other options? Just inviting one on at a time, or if you know that there's certain combinations of individuals that can't stand one another, that you invite them on one at a time. But then again, that could still be back and forth, like passing on a message to the other person. Yeah, so that could be a problematic. Is there any other options? Well, if you only chose a certain side, but then that's problematic in itself. If you favour one side over the other. So if Bob Farrell looks up to Jim Terry and Mr. X and keeps them on, but then dismisses Watcher Crazy and maybe some other people that counter, that resist or just don't get on well with the other side, and then they're alienated, then you might be losing certain people and audience too. So it's like you can pick these different scenarios and outcomes, and the positive is it can reduce that tension and prevent what happened recently from happening again. But then the cost is negatively is you might lose the odd few people along the way. And like what one of the comments said in the chat, you can't please everyone. You want to have everyone present, but it's not possible. Well, debatable. I have proven it, okay? But I use a different format. You know, there was a time where you had the Shack Lady, you had Ty Corbin, you had American Honey, you had some Jim Terry viewers, some Salty Pancake viewers, you had Fast Eddie, maybe Stoney at one point, and they were almost all in the same room at the same time, and yet some of them couldn't stand one another, but there was no conflict, there was no calling out, there was no tension, there was nothing. On other occasions, there was, okay? But on the odd time, there wasn't anything, just normal communication. So at least from my experience, and it might be different once again just because of the structure and format I use compared to everybody else, but I proved that it was possible in a sense, okay? What about the times when Jim Terry or Mr. X might have been present in my live chat at a point because they were communicating with other people? Was there a sign of world peace at a point in time? Yeah, kind of. When Jim Terry has made his appearance in my live chat, okay, he doesn't have much to say, just simply advertising himself, which is no surprise there. But it doesn't really lead to much. Doesn't really lead to a long-lasting bad taste in people's mouths throughout the video, unlike other live streams where they'll be constantly talking about the people's names throughout the whole video, when the title of their video or the topics of their video should be about something else, but they're not focusing on that, okay? So, yeah, when Mr. X has been in the live chat, okay, bit of whinging, bit of whining, but because he doesn't stick around, because he's got other things to do, it kind of just dies off like that. And it's like, okay, never mind. So has been a time where it's been that bad where I felt like, right, I need to walk away or I need to end this live premiere. Well, you can't really end a live premiere like that unless maybe you say it private or literally delete it on the spot maybe, but I wouldn't say I've been in a situation where I had to do that. I wouldn't say I've been in a situation where I've had to walk away from the chair because looking at the chat, it got too much. I wouldn't say so. I mean, there are certain methods to maintain a level of focus and control, and I have that under control. I do have it under control. Is it used all the time? No. It's used when it matters and when it's most needed. That's the importance and the reason behind it. You don't overuse it. You just use it at times when there's an important topic, discussion, point, right? You want as much focus as possible at times so people can take it in, question it, and spread awareness. If people aren't taking it in, it'll fall on deaf ears, and what's that good for? Nothing. So you get that. Now, as for people who are on the inside on these other channels that watch because of certain topics and discussions, they're the ones going to be impacted the most because whether it be an outside or inner force of tension, conflict, kind of an implosion on itself, they're caught in the crossfire, could lead to collateral damage, and if not that, they're just in a space where they're kind of trapped, right? See, what you saw a couple of days ago on Bob Farrell's channel, besides Bob Farrell turning off the live stream itself, turning it off, ending it, is if you're a viewer, an audience member within all that chaos, where do you go? You can't really go anywhere to escape from it. If there is a person appearing on panel during the live stream or even calling someone who's on the live panel live stream and it's been the speaker is near to the mic so everyone else can hear it. If you don't like a certain someone or you don't like the drama which is going on in that live panel, you can't mute it. If you mute it, everybody else is muted and then you can't hear the discussion. They're not in the chat, they're on panel, so you can't really rely on the chat itself, okay? where do you go? You can't really go anywhere. Whereas, because I do live video premieres, if the chat itself, text-based chat, was troublesome, it was causing you problems, it was distracting you, all you have to do is click full screen mode, and then you're just watching me talking or covering a video, material, whatever, and you're 100% focused. You don't have to worry or think about the live chat because that's in the background. You're on full screen mode watching this video. It's as simple as that. Now, if you're in a situation where it's like, oh, the chat, oh, I don't like it, you can get away from it because you've got the alternative of just simply watching the video, okay? Whereas if you're primarily in a different spot on a different channel and you're there for the reason of watching that video, watching the discussions, you're not really too bothered about the chat. It's what lies in the video itself, the contents and the discussions. Is there any way around it so you can still listen in but avoid some of the people on panel? Not really, unless you start demanding for that person to be kicked and that person to be kicked, and then it just becomes a bit power hungry. And yeah, basically, if you don't like the situation, all you can do is literally walk away from the video and then you lose out, and it's like a lose-lose situation. But in a live video premiere, you just don't like the chat itself, the chat box. You just walk away from it and just continue watching the video itself. It's very doable, very simple. And if you were in a situation where you want to watch the video, but you also want to chat in the live chat and like communicate with some people and, you know, do the hybrid method, that's doable as well. All you have to simply do is just block the odd person you see in chat which you don't get on well with, and that's how simple it is, right? Just like I said earlier on. So all in all, what I would say is the chaos on Bob's channel, it's no surprise, it's inevitable, it might happen again. It's kind of like the Shack Lady situation, excluding the part where one is owned by someone like Jim Tay Mr. X, okay? So, Bob Farrell, let me know your thoughts, what you think to all this, and go from there, okay? If anyone does have questions or additional comments about this stuff, you can list it down below in the comment section. And of course, I did not say it earlier, but if you want to check out my previous video, other stuff, a link will be down below in the pinned comment section. Make sure to check it out, okay? Now, I think what we can do now is move on to the second part of news, which has gone on in recent time, and it's to do with salty pancakes, okay? So I just want to add in now and reiterate, just in case people have suddenly joined, okay? Welcome if you're currently here. If you want to rewind back to get the full understanding of the Bob Farrell situation too, make sure to rewind back. But right now, we're looking at the recent, you call it drama and issues and charges placed onto Pancakes to do with harassment, I believe. And just look at the details behind it and his own response and additional thoughts, as well as looking at some like official court document or so, okay? What I do want to say is, all that's presented in this video is of public information, okay? It's as simple as that. And the overall aim of this video, besides the Bob Farrell situation, is just to simply understand what is going on. Can it be fixed or not? Is it problematic, long-term, short-term? Could it explain to the recent silence of Salty Pancakes on, you know, his other platforms, whatever it might be, okay? Because kind of ties in line with the odd prediction made not that long ago and what people were just saying with their own thoughts, saying how with Salty Pancakes being a bit quiet, with the drama with Jim Tay, Mr. X, with the ones that don't like him and other people that don't like him teaming up together, right? New alliances being formed and different directions and pathways and a consensus between different people that may have not got on well before, but they are now for a common cause, if you want to call it that. Salty Pancakes has kind of faded away into the distance. Sure, doing one's own thing, but not exactly, because when things like that have happened in the past, I'm walking away, I'm going to leave this out, I'm going to ignore this is the end, and then returns back to it afterwards, right? Now, have I ever been in that situation? Besides drama, you take that out, yes, and I try not to do it anymore. Basically, explanation. So times in the past where I said, oh, I'm going to take a break now. I'm going to take a break. I need a short break. And what happened? 3-4 months on, oh, I'm still doing it. You get what I'm saying? There is a reason to it though, but in terms of saying that this is going to happen, but then it doesn't, that's how it's been with me when it comes to, right, I'm going to take a break, no more videos for the next few days or week or whatever it is, but then the next day or two, I then end up making a video. The reason behind that is basically, at times it's felt like a checkpoint. It's got to the point in a case like Dylan Rounds, everything's been covered, we've kind of reached a dead end, or we've reached a checkpoint where it's just a matter of time of waiting for the next piece of news to come out. But what do you do in between? Maybe it's best to have a break. You know, if you've been consistently doing YouTube like me for over 1 year, almost every single day, the only time of having a break was maybe just for under a week near Christmas time, and that was it. I've been doing it ever since, almost every single day, 1 hour long videos. It's good, it's necessary, it's practical, and it's needed to take a break, of course, 100%. But the reason why I haven't is because there's been important stuff to cover, right? So a day where I say, right, I think that's it for now, I'm going to take a break. Day later, breaking news, Brenner has been officially charged. Phone data has been found, video footage, 27-second timestamp video clip of Brenner cleaning a gun, you know, that type of stuff. And more so in recent time where it showed Brenner appearing in court and the way his body language was, it's like, whoa, where's this suddenly come from? These like sudden burst of everything, and it's like, wow, I was supposed to be stepping back, but it looks like I've got to stand one's ground and cover it. And then that opens up to other stuff and then other stuff. So I do acknowledge that. Not exactly a bad thing, but just as like an example, okay? Because, you know, if Pancakes has said he's going to do this or he's going to walk away from this and that, and then he ends up not, it's kind of like what I said about, I'm going to take a break, but then I don't end up taking a break. But the difference between this example and that example, one's more damaging than the other. I think it's self-explanatory and obvious which one is which, right? But just wanted to throw that in. So yeah, just as we do talk through this and look at it, if there is any drama, if there's any resistance in the chat, you know, it is what it is. It's to be expected based off the topics and themes, what we're talking about today, or should I say tonight. So if you do have any trouble with anyone, feel free to block them if you wish to. If for whatever reason you need to report one another, which probably isn't practical, if it needs to be done in a must-do situation, providing it's like with the guidelines and stuff, then feel free to do so. But I think it'll be okay for now at least, okay? So basically, we're just going to give a bit of a brief overview of what's recently gone down and then transition on to Pancake's own response. Okay, so this is just basically a summary provided by some random individuals saying that your troll/hater, Salty3Pancak3s, also known as Michael Lee Irma, was charged with electronic harassment. Now, would I say that Salty3Pancak3s is my troll/hater? I wouldn't really say so. I'd say Salty3Pancak3s at times has had mini meltdowns and episodes on my channel in the chat at times, but it was a short burst, okay? There's been times where Salty3Pancak3s, I guess on his own channel, may have said a few things about me, maybe in a negative way. Maybe some of his followers have been sent out, like the Bitch Boy Posse group, to infiltrate me and cause a bit of disruption, like Kathy Capson Waters, or known as Kathy Deep Waters, the pet parrot pegging expert. Whichever one, okay? Has 28 Alice ever appeared? Nope. Probably couldn't cover the distance because they've got no shoes left. But what about Kaylee? Kaylee's popped in, her haunting, harrowing laughs. But that's about it. Not directly caused me trouble, so that's fine. And as well, you know, just to simply acknowledge, okay, because balance needs to be maintained and other things need to be acknowledged, whether other people out there agree or not. When it came to Pancakes, you know, in the early days, he said to me that I've got VIP access to his footage, which I guess was some kind of a neutral agreement as you can use a bit of my footage, you can review it, you can analyze it. There was an understanding that was good of Pancakes to allow that at the time. And there was times here and there where when he did pop into the chat here, he did give the odd super chat. So that was also good of him, regardless of what other people think, okay? But as I said, there have been times in more recent time where he's kind of acted out a little bit in a negative way, okay? There's been a few accusations as well thrown about towards me that I've got a wig, that I'm a trafficker, that I'm a crisis actor, okay, and some other bits and bobs. But besides the trafficker claim and accusation, the other stuff can be seen in a bit of a light-hearted way, right? The other not so light-hearted stuff, all that needs to be done is just like addressed and cleared up, just so people don't get confused and stuff. You don't want that, right? It just gets a bit too messy. But all in all, there's been good sides and bad sides to Pancakes. As for his presence towards me, okay, it is what it is. Now, is there any background things which may have happened over time which could have been directed towards me in a negative way? You never know, but I'm not fully aware of it. So, it is what it is, okay? Just wanted to give my thoughts on that for now, okay? So, Salty Pancakes charged with electronic harassment. So that just basically means, I guess, harassing people online with the use of technology, mobile calls made, social media accounts, YouTube, Facebook, I guess, use of mobile phone. Could it be anything to do with the prank calls, calling into people's works, unless that was the other way around by other people out there? You know what I'm saying? Examples like that which could fall under this. You never know. Anyway, the person says, last night, Salty Pancakes finally admitted it on Fumble Nuts chat. So this info is now public. Okay, so Fumble Nuts. Who is Fumble Nuts? I've heard the name here and there, but I didn't really know much about them. I guess I looked at the odd clip here and there just in recent time of Fumble Nuts. When I saw his face, I thought it was Matthew McConaughey from Wish.com. All right. Well, it's not all right, is it? It's a knockoff from Wish.com. Or did it come from Alibaba? Doesn't really matter. That lamp that was shined up the wrong way. Anyway, I've not had any run-ins or any negative encounters with Fumble Nuts, so there's no problems there. Just as a heads up, Fumble Nuts, I have been classified as a cashew nut. Okay, I don't know if that means anything or not, but just so you're aware. And as well, do you have a nut allergy? Let me know. Anyway, that aside, goes on to say, Salty Pancakes claims that Jim Terry was behind it. I looked it up on Utah courts. I can confirm the charges. It doesn't say who asked Orem Police to charge Mike Irma. It was filed on June 5th, 2023. Salty lied and said it was only 5 days ago. Right, I wonder why one lied. Bit odd. But yeah, so you got Salty Pancakes assuming and accusing that Jim Terry was behind all this. But it's not 100% confirmed. But what is confirmed is these charges, which we can get to very shortly. But let's just see some of the highlighted comments by Salty Pancakes from last night as to things he was talking about, okay? So his initial comment saying, bro, I'm facing a Class B electronic communication harassment charge from Jim Terry. He pressed charges on me, laughing emoji. City filed on me like 5 days ago. See, you might see this at first and think, is this really Salty Pancakes? Well, it'll make more sense shortly. Now, as for this account, this was on YouTube, known as Salty Crew. So Salty Pancakes behind this account. Now, the only thing just to, I guess, make a point is, if people out there were quick to call out Mr. X for creating that alt account on YouTube and saying that Mr. X was ban evading, does that apply to Salty Pancakes right here, right now? Because Salty Pancakes channel and channels were terminated, going against TOS guidelines. And I think it follows a line of, you can't come back or you can't create another account under the same email. But what some people do to avoid that or to get around it is by creating a new account under a different email, and people see that as ban evading, setting up a whole new channel and then going from there. Now, from what I know of, the Salty Crew channel, and I think attempts have been made in the past as well, temporary, and the channels aren't intended to upload content, just to have an account so one can comment on different posts out there, kind of like what Mr. X did in recent time, right? But I'm just wondering, does this classify as ban evading what you see on screen? Just let me know your thoughts, just out of interest. But as you see, Pancakes just instantly saying that it was Jim Terry responsible. Is that true? If there's anyone in the chat that knows that Jim Terry is responsible, if you're in a position where you can confirm it, feel free to do so. If not, or if you know Jim Terry is innocent, feel free to clear his name if you want, okay? No harm. So yeah, there was that comment there. There was a few things talked about as well. Pancakes also said that Jim Terry trafficked Betty Hayward. So that's interesting. We're back to the trafficking conspiracies. So originally I was accused of being a trafficker. Shack Lady was accused of being a trafficker. Supposedly Jim Terry is a trafficker, and that's how Betty Hayward got trapped within all this dodginess and she wasn't able to escape. And then that's a massive contrast to what was talked about last night in last night's premiere, when Guidance assumed that Betty Hayward escaped from my basement. When I went to sleep. So there seems to be a crossroads of complications, right? What is what? What makes sense? Maybe nothing anymore. Maybe what you need is the Matrix to come on in, and that will resolve everything. So Betty Hayward, where are you at? If you want to confirm your side of the story, feel free to do so. I think it's likely that you weren't trafficked, of course, but this is just Pancakes' thoughts and ideas, okay? So let's just move on to the next comment. Pancakes also said, if I could, to do it all over again, I'd stay far away from Jim Terry and would have went harder on Kurt Wadsworth for the truth. So when Pancake says I would have gone harder on Kurt Wadsworth, that isn't meant in an out of context gay way, like dropping the soap and pushing more and more and going deeper and deeper. It doesn't apply like that. It more in terms of pressing, being a bit more relentless to get answers out of a certain someone. That's what Pancakes mean in this scenario, okay? Now, to be honest, how things went over time, Pancakes did interview Kurt Wadsworth quite a few times, but I guess when Pancakes reflects on it, not enough was done. Maybe not. I guess there was that time where Pancakes later down the line turned on Kurt Wadsworth or started calling him out, but he didn't do that immediately. I guess that was to build a bit of a relationship, but not in that way. Build a rapport to get him to open up. And then down the line, things ended up changing and different opinions and feelings and thoughts. But he also says that Pancakes believes that I know Kurt Wadsworth knows where Dylan Rounds is. Is that so? So Pancakes is firm on the idea that Kurt Wadsworth is somehow involved in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. That Kurt Wadsworth knows where Dylan Rounds is at. Does anyone agree with that? Anyone thinking in line with that thought idea? Let me know down below. If that truly was the case, has Pancakes reached out to Justin Rounds about it? Is there true proof of it to suggest? Any confessions, anything in the background? If not, then I guess it's unfortunate and could likely be BS, right? Just depends how you look at it. Do we have anything else? Yes. Right, so here is this court calendar detail of what's upcoming. Okay, and as I said, it's public information. You go on the correct website, you task stuff, you go to search by, type it in, and it will come up if you enter in the correct name and everything. Okay, so this is just to confirm and validate what Pancakes has been saying recently with what he's been charged with. Okay, so Orem City Justice Court virtual hearing. There is no video link for this hearing available. Okay, Orem City versus Michael Lee Irma. Attorneys Ditto Jonathan Ditto. Doesn't ditto mean same thing? Like, same, I agree. What is it with these dodgy people? You got Judge John Judge, and then you got Jonathan Ditto. Interesting names. Anyway, got a case on the side. So the case is at 10:30 a.m., 7th of the 19th, 2023. So what? July 19th, I believe. Yeah, because the dates are the other way around. Dodgy US. Judge Commissioner Reed Parkin, arraignment video of a misdemeanor. So this is a virtual hearing. What, will it be on a Zoom call or something? Okay. And towards the bottom of the screen it says Class B misdemeanor, electronic communication harassment. And that was 6th of the 5th, 2023. Okay. Let's see. So it occurred further back, despite Pancakes saying 5 days ago. So he got that bit wrong. That could explain why in recent time Pancakes has been quiet, because he's been dealing with this in the background and sorting stuff out. It would make sense. So just let me know your thoughts to what you think about this. Okay, I just wanted to share this with you, just so it's a bit more valid, and you know what Pancakes is saying is what's happened. Okay, as said, it doesn't say who reported him or who pressed the charges, but Pancakes seems to think and firmly on the idea that Jim Terry is behind it all. So you could ask yourself right now, what happens next? Well, I'm sure Pancakes probably has a better idea, because he's caught up in all of this, and maybe he's even provided an explanation in deeper detail on his channel or on the other platform, okay? But this moment in time of recording, that hasn't followed through, okay? Take in mind time zone difference at this moment in time, okay? But what we can do is just take a brief background look at these misdemeanors, what the category they fall under, and I guess the punishments and what it can lead to, you know, if one is found guilty and it, you know, goes down that dark route. Okay, no harm in checking, just to get an idea and be more familiar with it, and based off the state one is in. So we're looking at Utah, right? And there is a website I found. Just read it out. Let me know your thoughts, okay? So the title of this article reads, Utah Misdemeanor Crimes by Class and Sentences. So we'll just read through the whole thing in the correct order, and maybe some of you might learn something new. We'll see. The basics of misdemeanor classifications, penalties, and sentencing in Utah. Okay. Utah, like most states, divides crimes into felonies and misdemeanors. Misdemeanors in Utah are punishable by up to 364 days in a local jail. Felonies, more serious crimes, are punishable by incarceration in state prison. Okay, local jail is different to a prison. As we've learned with the Dylan Rounds case and the likes of Brenner, who's been in Weber County Jail for quite some time, and down the line, most likely, will end up in a state prison, right? Anyway, it says this article will provide a basic overview of misdemeanor classifications, penalties, misdemeanor classes and penalties. Utah designates 3 misdemeanor classes, classes A, B, and C. So we're focusing on Class B because that's what it falls under with Pancakes. It says Class A misdemeanors are the most serious of these, and Class C are the least. Some misdemeanors are unclassified and punished as infractions, which carry no possibility of jail time. Okay, so you'd assume that Class B misdemeanors are on a more serious level, but not the worst, but as well, not the least. That's why it's in the middle. Interesting. So, Class A misdemeanors, they are punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $2,500 fine. Involves stalking, violation of a protective order, that battery, and criminal mischief are examples of Class A misdemeanors. Now, some of these examples here remind me of Chase Venstra within the Dylan Rounds case when we're looking back in the past to do with violation of a protective order. Chase Venstra broke that back then, and he was done for stalking. And as well, Chase Venstra on the 25th of May 2022, he was supposedly stalking a rancher's wife in Montello, Nevada. Okay, and that's what led to him being caught, catched, by the rancher, the husband, bringing his guys along, roughing him up and sending him on his way. Hence why Venstro was a bit bloodied and bruised. Okay, so some of these do remind me of other characters we've heard of in the case of Dylan Rounds. Okay, but this does not fall underneath Salty Pancakes, though Class B misdemeanors do. So let's read that. Under Utah's laws, Class B misdemeanors are punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Examples: criminal trespass, assault, petty theft, and cyber harassment are Class B misdemeanors in Utah. So cyber harassment is what falls under Salty Pancakes charges. Okay, that can involve phone calls to people, maybe using an alternative number to be able to call someone up. It could be prank calls as well, consistently calling someone, calling up a workplace, maybe calling up a family member of that individual, some kind of social media activity on like Facebook or YouTube, creating posts or creating alt accounts, examples like that, which could deem as harassment towards someone that doesn't want that attention. It's unwanted. So yeah. Now when it comes to supposed harassment, okay, if it's been directed towards Salty Pancakes probably and likely isn't the only one to, do stuff like that, because, as we've seen with time, people have reached out, shared their experiences, and independently from what we've seen further afar, like Candace Howard or something, saying that people have been stalking her and harassing her, that some of Jim Terry's viewers or audience members have gone out of their way to harass Candace Howard and other people in between. It seems like a messy situation, and it's across all boards. It's not just one side doing it. It seems to be from others all over the place, right? Messy situation. So, yeah, from the looks of it, if it didn't go Pancake's way and he was found guilty and, he's in the wrong, let's just say, then he could face up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Will it come to that? It's way too soon to say. Time will tell, though. Okay? We might as well just check the remainder of this. A Class C misdemeanor conviction in Utah for a Class C can result up to 90 days in jail and a fine of $750 max. Driving on a suspended license, giving a false name to police, and failing to disperse are Class C misdemeanors. Okay. Unclassified misdemeanors. If a statute designates an offence as a misdemeanor but fails to classify or specify a punishment for it, the crime is punishable as an infraction. Typical punishments for infractions include a fine up to $750 and a compensatory service, unpaid work for a government agency, non-profit or other court-approved organisation. Okay. Enhanced penalties and increased sentences for misdemeanor crimes. What's this all about? Utah law increases or enhances misdemeanor penalties in a number of instances. A defendant may face a higher misdemeanor class or sometime a felony penalty. Below are some examples. Okay, hate crimes. Defendants will face enhanced penalties if they intentionally target victims or property based on race, religion, orientation, ethnicity, or other personal attributes. The penalty increases to the next higher penalty level, moving from a Class C to Class B misdemeanor, Class B to Class A misdemeanor, and a Class A misdemeanor to a third-degree felony. So third-degree felony, I believe, is like an example with Brenner, the desecration of remains. Am I correct in saying? I'm sure. Gang offences. Watch out, Tasha T. Certain crimes committed for the benefit of or in association with a gang are also subject to penalty enhancements of one level. Examples of these offences include graffiti, criminal mischief, tampering with a witness, and weapon offences. Right, can I just say one thing? When it says includes graffiti, does that apply to Graham Knott? Because as we've seen in recent time, Graham Knott in the city of Graham, North Carolina, he created a massive sunflower art wall of graffiti, all sunflowers on the wall. Graham has been a bit of a painter decorator in recent time. Does that mean he's going to get done for that? Let me know, Graham, how it goes. Repeat offences. Defendants who repeatedly commit the same or a similar misdemeanour offence can end up with increased penalties. For instance, a first stalking violation is a Class A misdemeanour, but a second conviction is a third-degree felony. Domestic violence offences are another good example. A defendant who commits a repeat misdemeanour domestic offence faces the next higher penalty level for having one prior domestic conviction, and 2 levels higher for having 2 prior domestic violence convictions. Right. Protected victims. Penalties for several misdemeanours increase when a defendant harms a victim who's in a protected class of individuals. Protected victims include elderly adults, children, pregnant women, emergency responders, school employees, judicial officers, and others. Assault is a good example. This offence starts as a Class B misdemeanour, but if a defendant knowingly assaults a pregnant woman, school employee, or peace officer, the offence bumps up to a Class A misdemeanour. Wait, do disabled people fall under this as well? Because it doesn't seem to mention it. Well, it does say and others, so I assume that's what it means. It includes those as well. What do we have here? Increased harm or damage. Misdemeanour penalties also increase for a number of offences when the level of harm or threatened harm to persons or property increases. For example, assault and endangerment crimes carry increased penalties for increased levels of bodily harm. The penalties for theft and property damage crimes also increase as the volume of stolen or damaged property increases. Many of these offences carry felony penalties as well. Will I go to jail for a misdemeanour in Utah? Utah judges have a lot of flexibility in sentencing when making sentencing decisions. Judges will consider the severity of the offence, defendant's criminal history, and any harm to victims. Sentencing options generally include jail time, probation, compensatory service, restitution, and fines. Some offences may qualify for home confinement, electronic monitoring, or diversion. So yeah, they talk about flexibility, but they're going to take into account defendant's criminal history. Now, when it comes to Salty Pancakes, Pancakes does have a bit of a criminal history. So with this this harassment, this misdemeanor Class B, when they look into that and then look back, are they going to be a bit more biased? Are they going to take that into consideration with the past and what's happening right now? Yeah, it could get a bit messy, right, with Pancakes already having a bit of past criminal history. Anyway, says judges may start with the state's sentencing guidelines for misdemeanors. The guidelines provide a recommended sentence, jail time or probation based on the offence classification and the defendant's criminal history. For most first-time offenders, the guidelines recommend probation rather than jail time, but as the severity of the offence and the defendant's criminal history increase, recommended sentences include lengthier sentences and jail time. So that could be taken in consideration with Pancakes if one thing leads to another. A judge may go with the guideline recommendations but isn't bound by them. Judges are free to impose any sentence up to a maximum allowed in statute. Utah misdemeanor statutes of limitations. Statutes of limitations set the time limits for prosecutors to file criminal charges in a case. If a prosecutor files charges after the time limit expires, the defendant can ask the judge to dismiss the case. Most misdemeanors in Utah have a statute of limitations of 2 years, which typically starts to run when the crime is committed. Getting legal help. Any criminal convictions, even for a misdemeanor, can have serious consequences that can last long after the defendant served jail sentence or paid fine. If you're charged with any crime, contact experienced local criminal defense attorney. Okay, there's no harm in reading that, okay? Get a bit of a better idea of the possibilities of what could happen if it does go wrong. So aside from that, Pancakes himself did say, I think in last night's chat, that the charges and what's come about in recent time is a little bit sketchy. Now, I don't know what exactly means by sketchy, maybe like false, it was faked, just to try and get Pancakes in trouble when Pancakes hasn't really done anything wrong. Something like that. I'm sure Pancakes will probably explain it better wherever he does whatever, okay? But would it surprise me if it didn't if it wasn't true, but an attempt was made to get Pancakes into trouble, just on that basis, okay, just on that basis, if you were completely blind of all the drama of what's gone on over time, if you didn't include any of that and you just heard that Pancakes has received this misdemeanor Class B charge to do with harassment, such as cyber harassment, you look at that and you think, is someone out to get Salty Pancakes? But then you could flip it the other way around, of course, if you was a bit blind and say, well, when Jim Terry, when his channel and Mr. X channel was shut down, terminated because of the mass strikes, mass reports, whichever, but it was like a coordinated thing to get those in trouble when maybe they haven't done anything wrong, but because it was coordinated, and it was like several claims reports made, it led to consequences and a negative outcome for Jim Tay, Mr. X, and now it's kind of like vice versa, give a taste of one's own medicine back to the other person. Is that the case? Well, there's no confirmation of that, there's no proof of it at this moment in time, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, from what Bob said, how, oh, it's getting out of hand, all this drama, it could probably lead to someone getting shot. Is that a bit far-fetched to say? Not really. I mean, what I would say at the end of the day is, okay, it's gone on for some time, the grudges are in place, the foundations are there, long-term, most likely, not like forgiveness or hug, makeup, none of that. No, it is what it is. Whether they're on the same platform or not, close together in the same stream or further afar, there'll always be that back and forth kind of tug and war motion, and maybe other people brought in, dragged in between, and a bit of collateral damage too. What I would say is, as a prediction, so everyone feel free to make notes or just listen. My prediction is these grudges, these forms of drama can all intensify based off the factors and conditions one is in/under. If it gets to a certain point where one of the persons caught up in all of the drama ends up being worse off because of it all, and they end up losing out on stuff and losing things to the point where they've not really got anything left to lose, that's where they'll be at the most dangerous point. When they haven't got much else to lose, then they may act out and be more reckless than ever before, and they may want to be in a situation and also motivated by the fact of they want other people to feel this way and to be in this situation, and then they may end up targeting someone or some people and drag them down with them on the same baseline level. Okay, the only step above from that is someone who's lost everything, they've not got much to lose, no more, but equally they haven't got much to gain because of how things are played out, and connections breaking down, networks breaking down, relationships, whatever. When it gets to that point, that is the critical time where anything could happen and where people could get hurt and very serious actions take place. Will it get to that stage within this community on YouTube or further afar? Guess it depends, but all I'm saying is, as a prediction, if it does get to a point where one individual out there is left with not much and really not much to gain, that's when the really serious stuff starts kicking in, okay? At this moment in time, it's pretty serious, right? In the past, it was a bit more petty, back, forth, give and take, few name calling, words exchanged, this and that. Then it led to more background stuff and online maybe harassment, and so some channels being taken down. Then it led to a bit more serious stuff, certain family members or people in the background and friends of friends being dragged in and impacted in some way. Workplaces maybe contacted where that was outside of the case, community, whatever, but that got dragged in as well. And now on more of a serious service level to do with these charges, might not be the only ones, other people get charges down the line, you never know. And then what follows after that could be a bit more physical, and further down the line then, when it reaches the worst point, death. Death could be involved at the end of this, okay? The reality is, depending who can learn from it and who doesn't, who is thick-boned and very stubborn and lacking in the IQ department, if that really isn't a problem, basically the one thing that will end most of this drama, the one thing that will create a level of silence and shock, is the death of someone. So if there's a death and it ties directly into all this drama and conflict down the line, that's where, you know, things start to, I guess people start to awaken and realize, oh, it has gotten bad. Oh, maybe we should do something about it. Maybe we should stop. Okay? You got to treat it kind of like with bullying situation with high schools. Okay? You get people out there that get bullied. It's bad. It's not good. Yeah. Some people just put up with it. Other people just crumble and get impacted that way and fade out there. Some people might take drastic actions upon themselves and depart this world, and then others have a different form and retaliate back and get revenge and maybe collateral damage too, depending if they are innocent or not, which leads to mass shootings. It's bad what they've done, but they're just retaliating because of how they've been treated like animals. And then at a certain point, you know, with these shootings, you end up shooting themselves at the end. And then suddenly there's like this big cry of, oh, this is so sad, this is really bad, oh, maybe we should do something now, yeah, when it's too late, okay? The same can apply here with all this drama going on. When a form of action is taken in the right direction, the positive direction, it'll only occur when it's too late, after the death of someone. That's my prediction, okay? If it reaches certain conditions and much further on down the line, okay? There's predictions, okay? So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, okay? If you've got any questions, list it down below. If you've got any grievances, you can list them down below, okay? Take in mind there will be a Dylan Rounds video coming soon, maybe tomorrow or the day after, and then we go from there. We'll see what happens next. Time will tell. If there is any resistance here, today, tonight, tomorrow, it is what it is. It's to be expected. It's okay. Is it necessary? Not really, because this is balance, just simply taking a look at it and spreading a bit of awareness as to what's going on, and the presence of one or so being a bit silent in recent time. It might make more sense now, and that is all, okay? So thanks for watching. Let me know if you learned anything new, and yeah, that's it. Goodbye and good night. Shit.